Hi there and welcome. It's Tracy Daviero from Your VA Mentor and yourvamentor.com. I really want to welcome you to another edition of Back to Basics. This is a little bit new. I've discovered Zoom Conference and I really like the video option for it. I think it's really fun to be able to interact with you in this way. So I'm going to be shifting, or I'm going to try to shift my Back to Basics calls to a little bit more video, probably on this platform. We'll see how this goes today. And we will go from there. Just a little bit better than, only a slide staring you in the face. And even though I have to do hair and makeup now, well, not so much makeup, but anyway, even though I got to, get up and get ready, it's really worth it to me, and I'm very excited by it. So I'm going to go ahead and just get right into the presentation, and look forward to your feedback. Share my screen. Probably be a little clunky to start. There we go. So we are talking today about networking follow-up. Now, what I mean by this, and as we'll get into it, you'll see, is I'm talking about when you go to an event, talking to people there, and then coming home from that event. Now, this can be in person, this can be virtual, online, offline, it really doesn't matter. But the idea is you're going to an event, and that's where you are wanting to do your follow-up from. So recently, someone actually asked me to do a B2B on this, and you can call it that too. I call my Back to Basics the B2B series. And so I really did have a question from someone who asked me how to follow up with people after meeting them at an event. So that's what it is. It can feel really unusual, I think, sometimes, because you've only spent a few minutes with people in some cases. So here are kind of a few quick tips. First things first, when you're at the event, you want to make sure that you're making a real connection there. Collecting business cards is great, and I've seen a lot of people when you go to these events in person, they'll be putting their business card around on everyone's chair, or at their place at the table. And while there's nothing wrong with that, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you are following up with those people after you put the business card down on their place setting, or whatever you want to call it. So it's really important not to just try to get a pile of business cards out there, because when you connect with people, it is slower to connect with certain people, and not 100 people in the room, but maybe 20 really good connections. It's a slower way to do it, but it's so much better, because it just doesn't it's not one of those things that people are wondering about you later on, and they really don't know that much about you. So here's what I would say. Collect your business cards, that's great. Give out your business cards, that's great, but try to be memorable. Okay, try to make sure that you make a connection with someone. And if you don't make it right away there, and you have someone's business card, you do want to make sure that you're following up with them on social media and that kind of thing, and extending that conversation a little bit more. If it's a networking event, recognize that everybody's there doing the same thing. They're all there to connect because it's a networking event, right? If it's a training event, they're there for a different reason. So sometimes they're not looking to make connections. Maybe they're just looking to, get some new training. And maybe they are there to make connections and do the training, but you need to make sure that you get your priorities right and they get their priorities right. What are you at the training event for is something, that I would stop to think about. If you're there to make a few connections, do you want to make 10, or do you want to make 2 really good ones? So really think about that. But you definitely will need to follow up with people differently depending on what your decision is. So at the event, you want to make sure you're asking questions all the time. And I've said this in my other networking B2B as well. Ask questions, be interested, not interest, or be interesting and interested, okay? Make sure that whatever you have to say it is relevant to the conversation, and be interested in what someone else is trying to say. Always make it about them. Whenever you're talking to anybody. And it seems counterproductive, it seems counterintuitive, I think, to go to a networking event and not talk about yourself. And that's not really what we're asking you to do in this case. But we're looking to see, if you're really looking to make a connection with someone, ask them questions, get talking to them, and then you can seed your information throughout. And then if you're on the other end of a networking conversation where someone's asking you a lot of questions about you, there's nothing wrong with, sort of pumping yourself up. You have to answer their questions, of course. But what you really want to do is you want to turn it around and into a conversation. So you don't just want to, even if someone asks you, what do you do? How do you help your customers and that kind of thing? Even if you get into that conversation, you want to make it a two-way. You don't just want to tell them, oh, this is great, you're asking about me, so, I'll get right into it. You want to make sure that you'll say a few things and then turn around and ask them a question and really do make it a conversation. And when they do ask you something, you don't have to have all of the answers, but you want to make sure that you ask all the questions, okay? And the other key, really important at the event, is take some notes. I know a lot of people who never do this, and it's just one of those things I don't understand, that, you're not expected to remember everything that you do at an event, especially if it's, a couple of hours, that kind of thing. So everything begins with how you connect at the event. You want to collect the basic information. So their business card or their information. If somebody doesn't have a business card, then you want to be able to write down their information on any piece of paper that you have. Collect some interesting information. If you have a conversation with them, make note of something, whether it's at the event, maybe you both ended up at the bar at the same time. Maybe you both, maybe you did a pair and share at a live event, and you remember a couple of things that they said when they were being vulnerable, or something, something interesting. Maybe you connected on a level where, you know, you had something in common when you were talking about your businesses, those kinds of things, and start to make some mental notes of how you're going to continue that conversation after the event. You want to write on the business cards you collect, and that's part of my taking notes. Just flip the business card over and say, I don't want to forget this. You don't have to do it on the sly. I know a lot of people who, they feel like it's going to look bad if they stop to take a note or write something down. But really, all it does is it helps you to remember what they have said in that moment, and you can let them know, I'm going to write that down because I don't want to forget that. And if you can't do that, or if you don't want to do that, then once you've finished your conversation with them, step away and take notes for a couple of minutes. That's what I do all the time. If it doesn't feel like it's right to write something down right in the moment with them, I'll step away, and before I go and talk to anybody else, I'll just write 2 or 3 things down, or even just one thing if I don't want to forget it. So once you get back, how do we follow up? First thing you want to do is check them out. I Google them. I tell everybody, Google everybody all the time. Okay. You want to send a quick email. Now, this doesn't mean, great to meet you, that's the end. You do want to sort of plan this out, but you do want to have a short email that you send to them. It was really great to meet you at such and such an event. And you want to do this fairly quickly. That's kind of what I mean by quick. You want some quick turnaround. You want to do this within the first week. I was at an event recently where there are an awful lot of people, and I'm still getting, sort of those check-in emails. Hey, great to meet you at such and such event. And there's nothing wrong with that. But know that the longer that you leave things, a little bit more difficult it can be to follow up. So I didn't mean to sound like Yoda right there. So the longer you wait, the harder it is to follow up, is what I meant to say. So connect on social media and really connect, not just a blank friend request. When you get home from a kind of an event, or when you're offline after your event, you don't just want to go willy-nilly and click Facebook friends and that kind of thing. Send somebody a message in Facebook and say, it was really great to connect with you. I'd like to talk, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better and connect on Facebook. If you connect with them on LinkedIn, and really those are the 2 that I would say first, right off the bat, you want to look at in terms of connecting. Send them a note that says, it was really great to meet you. I'm glad that we're in this group together, or something like that. And really make a connection. And if that means, if you collect 50 business cards and it takes you a week to respond to everybody because you're doing it personally, it's still going to be more beneficial for you than if you just click all over the place, right? And then next, you want to put their name into your CRM. If you don't have a CRM, you should be using one, or some type of a follow-up system. If you don't do a lot of follow-up at this point, you can still use paper and pen. You can use index cards. You can do whatever you want. I used to work in sales for a courier company, and we used large size index cards for every bit of follow-up. Every single time we called somebody, we wrote down things, and we had a filing system. And so, paper works, absolutely works. And I just moved to a CRM system not too long ago, and it's having a few little growing pains with it because it's automated and it's online and all that kind of thing. But I'm, trying to teach myself to use it a little bit better and move away from my card system. My card system is just really helpful for me. What you really want to do in terms of the CRM is you want to be sure to schedule follow-up. So if you do send out something, an email to someone, and you know that there's another event coming up, maybe you just want to be able to follow up with that person prior to that event and say, you know what, if you're going to, Joe Blow's next event, maybe we could have a little chit chat beforehand, or looking forward to seeing you there or something like that. So you want to make a note to follow up with them prior to meeting them again. Expect nothing and give everything. It's so important to just make a connection with people in the very beginning. You have to gauge your follow-up based on how someone has reacted to you at the actual event, or on the networking thing that you've been at. Okay, so you want to really expect nothing and give everything. Just be really generous, and offer suggestions, or even just offer information. But you don't want to be too pushy, and you don't want you just want to be able to follow up with the way that that your conversation took place whenever you initially met. Send a resource if you can, but don't force it. Don't feel like when you get home you need to find something for every single person that you talk to. It's not always relevant. So make sure that whenever you are looking at that kind of thing, that you're looking for something that's relevant. And then understand that your relationship usually needs time to build. It's not like you can come home from an event and say, someone sat beside you at a table, or, you were in a chat room together at an event, and all of a sudden you're connected and you're friends, and you see great potential with this relationship. You don't want to push it. It's like anything else, you need time to build that relationship. And for the most part, your relationships are probably going to build on social media. They're probably not going to build so much through email, although that's a really good tool for sure. So that's all I've got to say on follow up. It's really actually pretty simple. But these are the things that I want you to do that a lot of people probably don't do. So this is the key. These are the keys. So you know who you are, who asked me to do this B2B about networking follow up. So I want you to do these things. I want you to take notes in an event. Make sure that you're really being attentive to the people that you're talking to, and write your notes down. Make sure that you're taking them away. You think you're going to remember when you leave, but you really, honestly, you're not. Check the people out and add them to your follow-up system. That oftentimes what we do is we'll do half of that, right? We'll check them out, but then we don't put them anywhere. We don't do anything with them. We have business cards sitting on our desk, and we just want to make sure that we're actively doing something with these people so that we don't forget about them. And there are going to be some people that you're not going to follow up with, or you don't need to follow up with, and that's okay too. Put them in your CRM anyway so that you have them, because that relationship may come back around. Maybe they were just nervous, or maybe there was preoccupied, or maybe you were at an event, and if you come upon them again, then maybe you will move them into your follow-up system. And then reach out by email and social media. And like I say, make your social media count. It's so important to be, sort of stand out from all the other people who just like your page, like your page, like your page. Send the LinkedIn standard connection email, or whatever that is, the connection request. And Facebook, same thing. I get friend requests all the time, but nobody ever messages me beforehand to say, I'd really like to connect with you. I'm going to send you a friend. I'm going to send you a friend request. And that means more to me. If we can have a little back and forth in the messages before even connecting friend-wise, that means a whole lot more to me whenever I've been talking to somebody. Now, if I have already met them at a particular event, I'll go ahead and friend them. And then what I'll do is I'll message them and say, I hope you don't mind me sending you a friend request. It was great to meet you. I want to continue our conversation about horses, or whatever it was. Okay. So those are my 3 tips. That's your homework for this week. That's networking follow-up. And I'd like to invite you to see what's up with me on my blog and on my events page. And see you next time for Back to Basics. Hello. How do I get back to this now? Stop my screen share. That's what I do. See, it's all kind of clunky and whatever, but as long as it works for you, it's going to work for me. I'll figure out how to iron out all those bugs. I'm so happy that you joined me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.